Good morning, artists. Today we are going to start our project. We have been practicing shading techniques using pens, like the hatching, the cross hatching, the stippling, the scumbling, just to name a few. We're going to apply them to a drawing that we do of an animal. Okay, so here's my sketch. I did it last night. I spent a little under an hour on it as I was watching TV. So this is definitely something you can do while you're multitasking or listening to music or a podcast. The first thing you guys are going to do, you can see over here, I have my photographic reference. You guys are going to find an animal, but I want you to find one that's HD. Okay, so what I did is I typed a bunch of different things into Google. I started with I think I started looking for seahorses. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. I didn't like the lack of texture I could find, even on the HD. Like I would type HD, professional, photograph, seahorse, and I was kind of looking all around to see if I could find something that was detailed enough and I could see the texture of the seahorse, but I couldn't really see it. Like I could imagine what it would look like. I thought if I drew it, I would do something with like stippling, but I couldn't really find a good image, and that's going to be key here. I found this image. One of my favorite animals is a snow leopard. They're pretty cool cats. I like them because they are the cat that can get highest in the world. They have a tail that matches the length of their body, which allows them to scale mountains and get really, really high into, the snowier parts of mountains. The tail helps them balance. So snow leopards have always been an animal that I'm interested in. So I want you guys to find an animal that you're interested in, but also an animal that has good texture and a photo that has good value. So this photo isn't in black and white yet. We will be transferring our photos into black and white so we can see the values better, but I want you to find a photo that's got good value. So a range of really, really white whites and dark darks. Okay, once you've decided what animal you want to do and you've started doing your searching, I want you to find an animal that doesn't fit entirely in the frame of the photograph. Okay, so if you look at my reference photo, or even my sketch, the animal's cropped off, which means the whole animal isn't in the photo. And this is going to be key. If you got a shot of a giraffe in a field really far away, you're not going to be able to see the details of the giraffe. So you could look up anything. Like you could look up a parrot and just do the head of the parrot. And you don't have to do it in landscape either. So you could do it in portrait where you turn the paper the other way. You can find any animal you want, but you want to make sure that the whole body of the animal doesn't fit. Honestly, the closer you can get, the better. I don't want the photo to be so zoomed in, let's see, that you're only dealing with like this part of the animal. Or like that. Maybe zoom out a little bit more so you have some good negative space back here. And now mine, you can see the snow leopard is kind of like resting its head. I don't know what the surface is. It could be like a railing or something. But you want there to be enough negative space so that we can do something different in the background. Okay? And then we're going to go in today. Once you've found your reference photo, you're going to upload this photo to Google Classroom. But then today you're going to also start the contours of your animal. Okay? And you're going to work big to small. Like I didn't start with the eye and start like right here and get really, really detailed. I started by, honestly, I flipped it upside down and I looked at the negative space. Okay, remember, our brain has a file that says snow leopard. I think I know what a snow leopard looks like. I think I know what an ear looks like. So I started by looking at the negative space in the photograph. Okay, because your brain has no name for this shape back here. And I started sketching lightly. Like you can even see Hopefully you guys can see. I have some ghost lines here that I left. Some kind of like sketchy lines. I came out really far here. I'll sketch them in for you guys so you can see. So these were my ghost lines. I started by being like, all right, let me see what I think. And I started with sort of like angles. It doesn't have to be perfectly curved at first. I just was trying to carve out what the shape of this negative space back here looked like. So I started with like this line right here. And I went, all right, the next part angles like this. Okay, the next part angles like that. Okay, and then it comes up at like an angle like that. And then an angle like this. Okay, so you're going to start by starting to carve out the shape of the animal. And you can even see back here, here's one of my ghost lines. And then I went back, and as I was, here's another one. As I was drawing the animal, I started with the outer line first, and I was fixing things up. I would then, if I was off, I would just shift it down a little bit. Okay, and my sketch is really sketchy, so later I'm going to go back in and clean up all of my lines, which means I'm going to really sharpen my pencil. And I'm going to come in here with my eraser and sort of subtractively, because my lines are really sketchy, erase all of the lines that are incorrect. See how this is getting a little thinner? I could even lighten it up even more so I can barely see it. Then I'm going to come in here with a more confident line. See how much crisper that looks in comparison to this one? Okay, and then I'm going to come in here and I'll show you guys what it looks like. So it's okay to do things sketchy, like if you're not sure of the line, and keep sketching until it looks about right. And then later what we'll do to the contours, we'll come in with an eraser. With your pencil, you do something called additive, where you're adding to the paper. There's also a type of drawing called subtractive drawing, where you're erasing the lines that are incorrect. So I'm going to come in here and subtractively sort of like carve out the lines that aren't right. And then I'm going to lighten so I can barely see my ghost lines. And then I'm going to clean up the line with one fluid line. Okay, but I don't expect you guys to get this done today. I do expect you to have about half of the contour line drawing done today. And then tomorrow, or next lesson, you guys should have the majority of it in. And you can see I didn't do every single little detail. Like I didn't get all the spots. Let me move it over here for you guys to see. I didn't get every little spot on the snow leopard. I started to map in where shapes and textures are. I started to map in, you know, sort of the curvature of where the dots for the whiskers go. But again, I don't expect you to have all of the details in there. And I don't want you to really add too much value to it. Like if you need to darken up areas so you can see it better, that's okay. But don't come in there with a pencil and do really, really dark lines. Because what we learned when we were in school, there are no dark lines in reality. And eventually, these lines are going to disappear, and all we're going to have left are our shading techniques. Okay, and as you're drawing your animal, I want you to start to think, like, is this going to be, you know, would the snow leopard look good with stippling? Would it be hatching? I'm going to do some scumbling in here for the eyes with pen later. But that's what you guys are going to do today. You're going to find your photo of an animal. You're going to make sure that it's kind of cropped in and HD. You're going to upload that photo for me. You're going to start with the bigger shapes by carving out the subject, the positive space from the negative space. And then you're going to come in and clean up your contours a little bit. Okay, and that's about as far as you guys should get to today. You should start to refine your sketch a little bit. I would say after about a half an hour, you had about maybe like this much done. Okay, and that's where I think you guys should be by the end of today. Okay, and that's not a percentage. That's just like I don't expect you to have like this much done, but you should have a portion of your sketch done. So you have something when you go to it the next lesson this week, that you have the next part, a jumping off point to finish your contours of your animal. If you guys have any questions, feel free to email me and have fun. All right, bye guys.